I'm sure that these teams are no stranger to this, but they might be a little bit stranger to each other. We're going to be getting into game 1 of the third Redemption bracket set. Dofu versus 4Apple. Dofu bringing out the Kenza 52 Gal. The custom Jet Squelcher going to take advantage of that ray that they have and shoot it across the map, as well as the Splattershot Junior and an NZAP for 4Apple. Meanwhile, on the other side, they'll be countered by a Splattershot Junior and a Tentatek Splattershot. So both these teams using a fair amount of more unusual compositions. It's not as if any of these weapons, it's outside of maybe the Tentatek, are the most uncommon in the scene, but just the way that they're putting these maps, these compositions together is a little bit odd.
Yeah, with both of them being armor weapons, it kind of leads to an interpretation that this is a passive comp from 4Apple. Tofu being very careful whilst throwing the walls, gets the very important pick with only the kite as the charger on the top of the map, trying to get the pick, and Tofu overextends to the point that it feeds to the charger.
Yeah, and we did see 4Apple, now that I think about it a little bit, we did see them run the double NZAP comp for at least game 1 of their set on stream against Carnage. But that was Rainmaker, so I think looking back on it, the interpretation of why they were running it is probably a little bit different. I assumed that they were running double NZAP so that one could carry the Rainmaker and the other one could just be a dedicated armor.
That is true.
It looks like they just really like that double armor composition. Just like Kaito's going to really like finding that double right there. He's going to be shut down by 4Apple of 4Apple. He was able to jump out just safe and sound, just preserving the armor. The Dofu holding this lead, 4Apple trying to work their way back in. They've captured one of the zones. 4Apple looking for the next one.
I think it's to the point that this match, aggression is on the heads of Dofu. With double armor, it is understandable, but I think just the choices of NZAP and Junior were not the best. And not to mention that I was feeling a little bit conflicted with like a Jet Squelcher showing up from Dofu, but apparently just spamming, spamming Ray on Piranha Pit any mode, it works.
It really just does.
Yeah.
Plus, another, not necessarily, well, I guess it is a downside, which isn't always a bad thing, is the way that their special composition is set up. They have the double armor, but they also have the Ink Storm, which isn't necessarily the most high painting special. Like, it's going to take a while to actually capture a zone with it, especially without any sort of special upgrades because it's on a CDS. And then the Fire Fin having your main special that's going to paint on a weapon that doesn't really paint as much.
Yeah, but honestly, that's one of the feel interesting. The CDS was so much in the meta in the past, and now we see the vanilla Dually Scorcher showing up even more and more by the time, just because of the missiles, even though it has a downgrade on the sub being the point sensor instead of the splat bomb.
Yeah, as someone who plays both VDS and CDS, I think I would have liked to see a vanilla Dually Squelcher come out on the side of 4Apple just so that they had that other offensive special to paint with. And they're still holding their own fairly well. Kite actually finding a nice pick with the Suction Bomb Rush on Kaito. But 4Apple still needs to paint a fair amount of the zone. Different going down to Kite as another player on the side of Dofu jumps out. So 4Apple has a practical man advantage for a bit, but they need to find a way to convert this into a significant amount of push. And with the Ink Armor and Inkjet combo coming out, they might not be able to do that for that long. Frank manages to find a Fernape, so that's actually going to be the Junior going down on the side of Dofu, but the Booyah Bomb comes in. Kaito also falls to Frank, and that's a complete wipe on the side of Dofu. So 4Apple holds on defense, and just like that, they should be able to take lead off of this.
Wait, Frank, you don't have enough ink for the bomb just yet. Wait just a moment. And gets a pick.
Yeah, Frank and their teammate going to work very well in tandem together, finding a pick on one and then the bomb finishing off the other. 4Apple can hold on. Stingray and Ink Armor going to be popped. That will be loss of control for 4Apple, but Dofu unable to take the zone for themselves, and 4Apple wins their first game of the set.
I think that will doom the Junior from Dofu. And What I was seeing in general was that the moment they lost all control of turf from the side of Dofu, it was when For Apple managed to get most of their paint and splats. Because with that combination, you have a C-Jet, you have a Junior, you have an Octoshot, and you have a 52 Gal. Technically speaking, the aggression of these three weapons combined allow the custom jet score to just spam rate, which is fine. But to the point that we saw in the match, there was an opening that For Apple managed to get where they were able to legit desync everyone and be picked off guard, leaving both zones to a point that I think Dofu just fell like a domino, like just it was a domino effect at the end. So it becomes hard to see what was the actual point of downfall for Dofu. But at the end, you could really see that there was a little bit of panic, and that wall, with the bomb that was thrown from like either the NZAP or the Junior, was the one responsible for killing the Junior from the enemy team, which they had no armor to get back zone. And the Jet Squad were just using Rayon Zone, which doesn't paint the zone.
Yep. Well, as we go to a map mode combination that a Stingray might be a little bit better on, we're going to tower control on the Reef. Do you expect to see any like major composition changes coming out from these teams?
No, in terms of neither of the teams, because if they still play the same comps they are using right now, what I will see is just a matter of like who's going to be riding tower first and who's going to be on the left side stopping people from stopping you from breaking first checkpoint.
Yeah, well, we already have some
Yes, we do.
slight composition changes. We're going to be seeing the Kenza machine coming out on the side of Dofu. Instead of, I don't remember what weapon it's replacing.
Replacing the 52 Gal. And
52 Gal, right.
which is interesting is that the NZAP was the charger on the previous match for Apple.
Oh, that's odd. I didn't actually process that. I guess they do have just a player who runs NZAP and Junior, and then one player who runs Junior and one who runs NZAP.
Yes, and Tofu being the one riding tower is just being a bait for this type of situation. I don't know why they changed it, but at this point you can see control of bridge was why the K-Pro was there, but the armor saved their lives.
Yeah, they Fernate finding a nice pick, and Dofu looks like they've already somewhat desynced for Apple, and Dofu has a lot of specials to work with. Going to get the splashdown on Frank. However, Seth on this K-Pro is going to find two before falling themselves. And now it's just down to Kaito and 4Apple. 4Apple ends up taking the tower as multiple players on the side of Dofu go down. Suction bomb from Kite going to find at least one. Not sure if it found both or if that was a another kill coming out from a different player on 4Apple.
It shreds the armor from the slushy machine, but the slushy machine disengages. That was, I don't know if the NZAP had the upper hand or not, but definitely we could see that now it's happening almost again. 4Apple has at least all the path to second checkpoint free for more points, and all they can do is GG Ray to stop, use Stingray to stop before it breaks the second.
Yeah, Stingray actually not going to be popped until just now, but they've already gotten the second checkpoint. Even if Frank and 4Apple both go down here, it's already too late. They've pushed a significant way forward. Dave Fernate going to fall to that Booyah Bomb, and 4Apple with 3 players near the tower, they can use all of them if they need to, but 2 go down, and Seth, despite finding 1 with the K-Pro, is still in an unfortunate position. Looking for this pick on Jordan on the tower to try and take back control of the tower while it's still in 4Apple's or Dofu's territory. And
Great
Jordan's
jump.
just going to jump out, saving that Stingray. 4Apple continuing to try and push forward, but significantly disadvantaged. Jordan getting lots of damage on at least 1 player, but unable to find a kill quite yet. And they're going to fall in the, or not fall in the process, but they won't be able to find anything. Jordan just having to jump out once again, and 4Apple continuing to ride this tower. Suction bombs coming out from that NZAP, or not the NZAP, the Splattershot Junior, as well as I think the K-Pro
15,
are gonna help.
14, just 1 more point. It's lead for 4Apple.
4Apple's actually going to be able to just ride this all the way through. Dave Fernate going to get that last kill that was necessary, and 1 more. So 4Apple gets it down to 2. They take back control of the lead, and Dofu needs another strong push, just like their opening one to start out with. And it starts there. Frank goes down. Custom Jet Squelcher helping out. Jordan finds another one, and they have the Stingray now. So Jordan can use this to try and clear out more area, but they're in a very exposed spot.
The problem right now is that 3 people under their plats. If one of the players manage to go for the long flank, it's over for Dofu. Like the Junior is vulnerable at the tower. Any special could actually take them down.
Yeah, and Jordan needing to back off. They're only a C-Jet after all. They're not going to be able to take fights with that many people. Finds a pick on Kite, so Jordan's going to be able to help the rest of their team stay for a little bit longer. And trying to get their members of Dofu respawned in. They're not able to find anything, and the Rainmaker goes, or not the Rainmaker, that's the second time I've said that already.
Octa shots. Close, the same weapon, same weapon.
I meant to say the tower goes back to mid.
Oh, the objective.
Dofu working with a 3-on-4 right now in their favor. Trying to find some sort of pick that could make a difference, but for Apple just keeping up the aggression. They're not letting anyone get near. Tofu going to have to use the splashdown to try and take care of this.
Nice double direct from
Enzap.
the slushing machine.
Yeah, it's just such a satisfying sound to hear.
I agree. Together with the H3 sound when it connects all 3 shots. Tofu really popping out here. They have the opportunity to push, but they left the bridge open. Tofu getting a triple right here. Can they get a quad? Can they get a quad? It's just the inside. It misses. The suction bomb doesn't get this final splat. There's 3 people on tower. 2 go down, 3 go down, and it's only Tofu left with 9 seconds on the clock. It's the last swipe of the game.
And for Apple, going to just hold on, taking it. 2 points remaining, but it's as good as a knockout as far as winning the game goes. For Apple goes up 2-0 in the set that they really needed.
So, don't know if you managed to see, but when they were pushing for Apple, the entire map was blue.
Yeah.
Entirely blue. Dofu could do anything because like there was no path safe for anyone from Dofu to drop to really stop the tower. And honestly, that was the problem when they were pushing. For some reason, which we did, I don't know how to point it out because like the NZAP and the Junior paint so much. So how do you let the NZAP and Junior paint the entire map? You basically, I think you were just being engaged by the K-Pro. You were like, there was some sort of engagement that the K-Pro was just being able to take from everyone and giving just the turf advantage to get the push.
Plus, especially when you're down that much, you're definitely going to be focused a lot on the objective as well.
Exactly, you're going to be
really
like
easy to see a lot of map control because of that.
Yes, and also not to mention that when you respawn, the first thing you check is it's the tower. Like you start to panic with the tower moving closer and closer to your goal, which might have made a little bit of a difference. Like I don't think we saw mostly enough race from the custom jet sculpture to actually give support. Like we saw a moment there were 3 people underneath the original, was it like the original Clumbless basket of the reef was on that spot. Remember that? On the
Not
on the final
particularly,
checkpoint.
but yeah.
I think it was like the Rainmaker is on the Rainmaker used to be on the car.
Huh?
But like the Siege was standing there with no range above itself, meaning that you basically are just leaving the Junior to get splatted alone, and anyone can just disengage that and get you from the back. So like, though I think there was no proper setup for the last push.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a spur of the moment, we need to get this done type thing instead of how do we get this done.
I agree.
So we go into game 3 for Apple. Currently with a 2-0 advantage, Dofu needs to find this win here on Clan Blitz on Inkblood Art Academy. It starts with, I believe that is...
Vanilla Dually Sculptures.
Yeah. We're going to be seeing the Vanilla Dually Sculptures on this map. I think it's a good map. It's one where Inkstorm can be a little bit hard to find a good use for. Meanwhile, on the side of Dofu, we're going to be seeing the Slashing Machine again, as well as a Bamboozler, the K-Shot, and this N-Zap on, that's being wielded by Dave Fernate.
two people on the left tree, and Dave doesn't feel the need to drop. It seems that like Dave has been cornered to a point that there's nothing they can do apart from set up to Dofu with the slushing machine. Gets a pick, but gets shots on the back.
Yeah, Frank focusing very heavily on one of the players, allows the other one to take him down. And Jordan, because of the way the camera was, I thought Jordan was already underneath the enemy team's basket.
No, wait, they were underneath, and it was confusing because they had not enough clams. And it doesn't seem that this is showing, like, the problem with this map, this team, is if they can't keep the organization with the clams, clearly it's going to be even harder for them to push.
For Apple trying to get the clams necessary, they're going to just throw them up to Seth. Seth, one away from the power, but it's going to lose their life. So the power clam going to be denied by Dofu, and just like that, they found themselves a significant man advantage. Kaito looking for a kill, but 4Apple going to deny it and then jump out in the process. Going to drop those 5 clams, but the defense right now seems to be more important as they go 2 down. So just left to 4Apple and Frank on these dually squelchers. Armor going to go ahead and be popped. Definitely something that you can sort of be a little bit more lenient with since you also have this end zap for it if it's absolutely needed. And the missile's ready for Frank. So the defense for 4Apple continues to hold, but they're losing clams in this clam economy. No clams on the board for them right now, as opposed to the 17 that Dofu currently has. Jordan trying to find a pick right here, looking for a place to push in with the power clams they have. But the basket for Apple is entirely covered in purple. And just like that, so is Jordan. Kite finding so many picks, denied the quad, but another player going to follow up. Seth has 9 clams, and that's going to be the first points on the board for Apple. Dunking 1 power clam, finding another 3 for points, just another 3 regular clams for 9 points. But Dofu going to deny the remaining points from them. Seth and Kite just trying to find some more space. Seth's still very deep in Dofu's base right now, going to trade out with Kaito. But Dofu now has a 3v2 man advantage and a pity clam to work with if they need to.
I don't know why the K-Pro dropped from the high ground. Like, there was no one that could sustain combat, like, dispute your range over there. And by being there, you just become annoying. Tofu's panic splashdown trying to not get splatted, even though not recommended after getting 2 shots from a K-Pro.
Yeah, just very...
Call it out. Continuing.
This is a very precarious position. Jordan actually going to find a pick somehow, and they have an entryway to the basket. They have enough clams to take the lead with. They're going to do so. 59 to 71. Dofu hunts for another couple. Dave Fernape going to bring in another set from relatively nearby. I think they got very lucky with where the clams spawned. Kaito trying to keep up the pressure on this basket, but 4Apple going to reject it. And they have a 4v2 man advantage, so they're going to try and take back control of mid. Seth trading out with the 1 to preserve the player lead for Apple. Or for Dofu, I'm sorry. But 4Apple has a lot of space to work with now, but the jump going to falter as another player goes down. Dofu just trying to hold on, only a minute left they need to do it for, plus a little bit of overtime. But Dofu, or Seth, I'm sorry, for 4Apple actually picked up the pity clam.
There's a lot of 4s here. 4 for Apple, 4 Apple, 4 for Apple. Yeah, and Kaito here not getting the final win with a VDS, but it does one with Dofu hops in, and another power can be thrown. But unfortunately, Dofu doesn't have the intention to throw the power because they don't get to the proper. The Clam Blitz gets thrown away because of the splashdown, and unfortunately, Dofu will go down, and it's just a bamboo alive. With 27 seconds remaining, anything can still goes.
I honestly think it might just be smarter for Dofu to just not try and push their advantage state anymore. Just keep 4Apple out. They don't have another power clam to work with after this one. I think that there's room to make another one, and I think that's what they're going to do, just in case it does go to overtime and they need it. So overtime going to be forced by Dofu. 4Apple has a power clam, but Frank needs to find a way to use it. Only the missiles on board right now. Frank going to pop them, but it's still a very precarious situation. Kaito goes down, but the Bamboozler's watching. Going to be a lot of bombs to deny, and 2 players go down on the side of 4Apple, and Dofu takes game 3. So the set's not over yet.
Not over yet. I like how, since I'm so focused on literally trying to get every single detail I can, I was counting with my fingers the 16 beeps that Clan Blitz give for the overtime. I don't think they had, if they, like, if they managed to not get splatted, they could have just barely missed the power
Right
clamp.
there.
You need to break it at least on the 14th or 13th beep. Not beef. I don't have any barbecues here with me. I wish I had, but K-Bot says not allowed to
Now
eat in
I'm
the venue.
hungry.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
I have to play after this too.
Oh, same. Same, I do have to play too. Well, we will bring you the fourth. Okay, so we had a Salt and Pepper Fiction that went to Game 5. We had the second game that just went to Game 3. Now we're going for either another game that will take a comeback with Dofu possibly going all the way to Zones Mako, or for Apple wins on Rainmaker Manta.
Rainmaker Manta definitely seeming like a stage that's going to favor for Apple's very aggressive short-range playstyle.
Yeah, they dropped the charger. They're not playing the charger anymore. It seems to be working much better.
Yeah.
They do have the pop as well. Even if they do play VDS, they have the bombs from the Enzap and Junior, and if I'm not mistaken, the K shot as well, right? So it's 3 bombs, easy pop.
Yeah, plus a lot of NZAPs will also have that object shredder that they can work with. So.
Oh yeah, so another reason
Yeah.
for a pop from for Tofu. No. There's so many 4s here. I'm actually getting confused in the same way as you did.
It's all good.
4 for Apple
Yeah.
will be able to get the pop with ease.
Plus, it seems like since they have the K-Pro and the Dually Sculptures to work with, they're pretty much just playing like a dual midline and dual frontline comp, which for a map like Manta Maria can definitely work, but if you start to get zoned out, it can be a little bit hard to push in, especially if you do opt for the custom Dually Sculptures, where having that rain isn't going to really be a big factor in displacing on a map like Manta Maria, where it can be a little bit hard to get like the full damage potential of it.
I honestly see Rain being used more either on mid or on the final stretch of the Rainmaker.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to use it to stop the Rainmaker when it's really counting where it is the street just before the big drop to the goal. So probably they're going to keep it with missiles. Not to mention missiles are affected by the Rainmaker. It counts as an object for the for you to use them. And yeah.
I always forget about that because I don't usually play missiles with Rainmaker.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's weird when you look at your own weapons and when you play them and you don't. The only thing I can say is that I play Firefin on Zones or E-Leader. I play Bamboo on Clan Blitz, Splatter Scope Ray on TC, and Rainmaker is literally fluctuation apart from anything, but mostly Stingray just because I like the weapon better. And with everyone getting set up, we're going to go for Rainmaker Manta. Do you think they're going to push from left, right, or center? Whoever gets the pop. Let's try to predict that.
I feel like pop just goes straight down the middle.
Straight down the middle. I'm going to go for the sneaky on the right side.
Here we go. Jordan bringing out the C-Jet. And for Apple, actually, again, going to stick with the vanilla Dually Sculptures. I do actually really like the thought of bringing Point Sensor into this map specifically, just because there are so many tight corners that you can hide behind. Where it's just like, having that Point Sensor just as a little bit of extra security it's a nice thing to have, and the missiles are going to help as well.
Amy, they're going right.
Oh, I thought you meant which way the pop was going for, not which way they were going after the pop. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I do think going right makes a little bit of a... It makes sense after getting that very fast start. You want the points as quickly as possible. Dofu, actually, even with their early advantage, they're still in a effective 2v2, going to get swarmed. I think some of their members actually snuck around the bombs, and I think the Rainmaker shield might have helped with that. So Dofu gets the wipe. They're going to have it if Dave Ferniv can get it.
Oh!
And they get they get taken out with 1 point remaining.
I was watching a match earlier today. The game gave the win.
That was mine yesterday.
That was, oh yeah. So, but I like how we had to call everyone to be like, but the game is over. It's not that much of a big of a deal. It's
Yeah.
it's just it.
It was so funny. For context, what happened there was the kill was achieved, but not before the Rainmaker was placed, because Nintendo and animations are odd with that. But for Apple now has a push of their own to work with. There's only the K-Shot effectively up and the Stingray to help find the on the defense since they just spawned in.
This is
Ray going to
literally
come out.
going back to back.
Yeah. Both teams being very, very aggressive. Seth finding a pick despite being cornered. Rainmaker once again going to be popped. Seth is in a very good position. If they can clear out a way to go, this Booyah Bomb might make all the difference. Splashdown going to come down as well. Jordan trading out with another player. It's a 2v1.
Go Dave! Go Dave!
And
No!
Seth going to take it. And for Apple, in one of the closest yet fastest games that we've seen, will take game 4 and will win the set.
I feel bad for Dave. Do you know why? Dave was the one that
Right
dunked the
there.
Rainmaker, almost managed to get to 0. And just now, it was only Dave to stop the Rainmaker. And if the Junior had better RNG, that could have made a lot of difference.
Yeah. It's one of those where it's just like, you're in the right place, but just a little bit too late.
I feel bad because I wanted the game 5. I didn't want it to stop at game 4. And like, even if it went back and forth, that was just amazing. So that's gonna be the end for Redemption Bracket as well. Like, I mean, the Mantec Rainmaker was a good game. It actually is a good closing for the Redemption. There was a redemption if you start to think. Like, for Apple managed to redeem themselves and win Rainmaker Manta like that with a literal close call lead on their side as well.
Yeah. And just like that's going to be the end of Redemption Bracket, that's going to be the end of our block as well.
That is, and we're going to start playing on our next block as well.
Yep. No rest for the weary. So, Fern, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter, and they can find me on Twitter as superfern013. And where they can find you, Elias?
You can find me at alias_handle. It's right down there, just like Fern's is yep. It's fun trying to figure out where it is.
Found it.
But yeah. Anyways,
thank you very much for joining us on the Redemption Bracket. We'll be joining you soon with the silver top bracket, and they will be joining by the next amazing 2 commentators replacing us.
It's gonna be fun. Stick around. There's a lot more Splatoon to be played here at Riptide, and we'll see you